Hey, everybody, welcome to Chapter 7, which is on payroll. Just recognize that when we do these payroll exercises, we won't actually be using QuickBooks Payroll. That's a fee-based service that QuickBooks offers. So I'm going to show you how to do it without paying for QuickBooks Payroll, but also let you know, like if your company that you're working for has more than just a few employees, it really does start to be worth it to pay for QuickBooks Payroll. Anyway, so the exercises here, the walkthrough here for Chapter 7, we'll just do it without payroll. So I'll show you how to set that up. So I'm in the employees section of Chapter 7. So after the overview, we get to employees. And so we're going to just start in with the steps. So of course it has us in 1 and 2, open our internet browser and get back to the sample company. And then step 3 is a little confusing because it says click on workers and then click employees from the navigation bar. And if you look over here, there's no workers. So instead, what you're going to do is you're going to click on payroll and then go to employees. And this will take us to our employees screen. Right now we have 2, Emily Platt and John Johnson, and we're going to add an employee. It's going to ask us if we want to turn on payroll, and we're going to say not right now. So that's step 5. All right, and now we're going to hire Mae West. I think that her name is spelled wrong. I think Mae West, the actress, was with an E, but I'm not sure of that. There's her name, and then we're going to put in her address, 2393 Bridge Place, number 3. The city is Rancho Mar, California, CA, and then the zip code 93154. And I guess this company uses employee ID numbers, and so we're going to give her the ID number of 178. So that was step 6 in the add new employee section here in the textbook. We're going to click save, and now we'll have 3 employees, Emily Platt, John Johnson, and Mae West. And there we go. So that's the first section on adding a new employee. All right, so this next section is payroll accounts. And in payroll accounts, we're actually going to manually add some accounts for payroll-related entries. Again, this is rather than using QuickBooks Payroll, we're just going to do our own. So we're going to click on the gear icon. So step 1 is continue where you left off. Step 2 is click on the gear icon and choose chart of accounts. Say, see your chart of accounts. So that's step 3. And now that we're in the chart of accounts, we're going to click new. All right. Oh, you know what? This is one of those areas where it's going to look different if we're trying to do it in accountant view, which is the default for mine. It may not be for yours. So if yours looks like this, you're going to want to exit out of here, click on the gear, and say switch to business view. And the textbook is kind of written to be done from business view. And so I'm going to do that, switch over to business view. I'm still in my chart of accounts. And now I'm going to hit new. And now my my add account window is going to look like this. All right, so we're going to click expense for the account type, expenses, and we're going to call this a payroll expense. So this is money that we have to spend in order to pay our people. And we're going to change the name of it from payroll expenses to just payroll. So that's the first expense account we'll need if we're going to track payroll on our own. So that was steps 4 and 5, and then 6 where we typed in payroll. We're going to click save and new. And now, did I mess something up? I may have clicked it twice, but if I did, it will tell me I'm trying to add the same account twice. So I think we're okay. In fact, I'm going to leave this real quick and see if I accidentally created one called payroll and one called payroll expenses by clicking it twice. So let's see. I did see that. So the only thing I can really do is I can make this account inactive if I want to. I could edit the account and change the name of it. But if I didn't want to see that because I accidentally added an account and it has no transactions in it, so it won't hurt anything to just hit yes, I'm going to inactivate that. So that's just how you kind of deal with an accident. If you accidentally add an account that you don't want, make it inactive so it's not part of your list. All right, so I'm going to make a new account. So this is moving on to step 7. It said click save and new. I just clicked new because I had to exit out of it. And for the account type, I'm going to click or choose other current liabilities. Remember, liabilities is money you might owe to other people. And we're going to call it a payroll tax payable. So this will be money that we either withhold from the employee's paycheck so that we can then pay it to the taxing authority, like Arizona Department of Revenue or something like that. Or it's money that the company might have incurred as payroll tax expense that we're also going to have to pay to the taxing entities. Remember, when you pay people, there's like some portion of it is tax that the individual has to pay. So as a company, you withhold that from their paycheck. And then some portion of it is a tax that the company has to pay. So we have to deal with both. So we're going to leave it called payroll tax payable. And we're going to hit save and close. And that will be the end of number 11. And that will finish out the payroll accounts section here in the textbook. So in the pay employees section of the textbook, what it's going to do is walk us through paying our employees. Again, recording this so that we're not using QuickBooks Payroll, but we've made our payroll accounts. You can see we have 3 employees, Emily, John, and May. And so this first little table, figure 7.4, shows us the amount they each get paid. So you can see Emily is salaried, so she just gets salary. And then John and May get hourly pay. They both make $18 an hour. And for this 2-week payroll period, John has 80 hours and May had 60, presumably because May was hired in the middle of that time. That's why we added May new. I don't know that. Could just be that May worked less hours too. So we have their gross pay. Then we have the federal withholding, the Social Security employee portion, and the Medicare employee portion. So this line, employee withholding, is the total amount we have to withhold from the employee's paycheck. This is money that the employee has to pay in taxes. Then we have Social Security employer, so the portion that we have to pay as the employer, and Medicare employer. And so then there's employer payroll tax expense. This is the amount we have to pay as the employer. It's the amount we withhold from the employee that they'll be paying, and then the amount that we're responsible for. We'll have to send all of this money in to the taxing entities, but a portion of it is the employee's cost and a portion of it is ours. All right, so that's important to sort of understand. So I'm going to scroll down and we're going to see, we're going to start where it says to record the payments. Sorry, I say scroll, you're not looking at that screen. So I'm in the book and I'm now in the section that says to record the payment of employees in a sample company, do the following. So we're going to add something new and we're going to add a check. Why? Because we're going to pay our employees on a check. And so we're going to choose Emily Platt, our employee, as the payee of this check. So that is step 3 in the to record payment of employee section of the book. It says to accept the date that is on there. So it's just today's date when I'm recording this. Okay. And then we're going to select payroll from the drop-down list and category column. Remember, payroll is the payroll expense that we just set up. And for the amount, we're going to put $2,500. which is the amount of Emily's gross pay. On the second line, so that was step 5, selecting payroll, and then step 6, putting in the amount. Step 7, we're going to go down to line 2 and put payroll tax payable. And we're going to record this as a negative because it's going to reduce the amount of the check. Okay, and it's actually going to go into the liability account, payroll tax payable, meaning we owe it to the taxing authority. And that amount matches the amount of Emily's withholding. Then we're going to go down to line 3. We're going to hit payroll, which creates a payroll expense for us. And we're going to put the amount that we have to pay, which is the $191.25. And then on the line below it, we're going to do payroll tax payable and do a negative $191.25. So what this does is it records the amount that we have to pay, so the gross pay that's going to Emily, minus the taxes that we're withholding from her, and then records our payroll tax expense, and then we subtract that out again and put it to the payable, so that neither increases nor decreases her paycheck. And so in the end, we're going to have $533.75 and $191.25 going to payroll taxes payable, which is a liability that shows the money we'll have to pay to the taxing entities, the taxing authority, and the check will be the correct amount that Emily should get paid. So if we're not using QuickBooks Payroll, we would like to not have to redo this every time. So there's a feature here where we can make this recurring. And so this tells QuickBooks, I want to be able to use this check over and over. And instead of scheduled, where it says it comes up at a certain time, we're going to call it unscheduled. So that is steps 13, where it says click make recurring at the bottom, and step 14, make unscheduled, or select unscheduled from the type box. Then we're going to click save template. Now, by doing that, we created this template for like a saved transaction, but we didn't actually write the check. So in order to actually write the check, we got to go up to our gear icon. So this is step 16. Step 17, go to recurring transactions. Step 18, we're going to find the one for Emily Platt. We're going to click use on the action item there. Step 19, we're going to make sure the date is correct, and we're going to hit save and new. So now that saves it as an actual check for Emily. And now we're going to write out, let's see. Step 20 is we're going to do the same thing for John and May. So we just did the one for Emily. It says be sure to make each of these unscheduled recurring events. So we'll look back up at the table in our book and see, we'll do John. So our payee is John Johnson. I'm going to leave the date. Here in the category, we're going to put the amount. We're going to put payroll. Put the amount of John's gross pay, which was up in the table above, $1,440. Then we're going to put the amount of the payroll tax payable, the amount we withhold from John, which is employee withholding of $307.44. Then we're going to put payroll. We're going to put the amount that we as the employer have to pay in taxes, which is $110.16. And then payroll taxes payable, or just payroll tax payable, and do a negative $110.16. All right, so that's John's check. Instead of hitting save, we're actually going to click make recurring. We're going to tell QuickBooks we want it to be an unscheduled recurring transaction. And then we're going to hit Save Template. And then in our recurring transactions here, we'll actually hit Use. It'll bring that check up, and we'll hit Save and New. So now we've saved it as a check. So the last one is May West. So under Payee, we'll click May West. Leave the date the same. Come down to the category, do payroll. We'll do the amount, which is her gross pay, $1,080. We'll do payroll tax payable, negative of the employee withholding, which is $230.58. Then we'll hit payroll, or type in and select payroll. And that will be the amount of the employer payroll tax expense, $82.62. And then payroll tax payable, do, whoops. Negative $82.62. All right, same thing. We'll click Make Recurring. Tell QuickBooks we want it to be an unscheduled recurring transaction. Save the template. And then we'll actually use the template. And we'll hit Save and Close. All right, so all of that we just did was, let's see, step 20, which was enter the payroll information for John and May in the same way you entered it for Emily. So now you can see on our recurring transactions, we have all three of them and the regular paychecks. So after we enter the last check, so we're on step 21, hit Save and Close, which we did. And now we're going to click Reports from the navigation bar. Remember our navigation, my navigation bar over here on the sample company does not have reports directly. So I go to Business Overview and then click on Reports. Step 23, we're going to go find report by name and type trial balance, or start to type it, and then we can just click on it. And there we have our trial balance. If we go to the checking line, so step 24, and click on the $2,747.23 amount, this will bring up all the changes to the checking account balance during the report period we have up here. Step 25, it just says match it. It says the dates will be different. That's fine. Step 26 says click John Johnson, and you'll see that you can actually drill down more and see the actual paycheck that we wrote. So it's just showing you that you, from the trial balance, you can click on a transaction, click on the checking account balance to find the transaction report for checking. And then you can click on any of the transactions in the transaction report and get to the actual transaction. So that's all they're trying to show us. So that was step 26. And then 27 says match our screen, which we did. So we're going to go back to the report summary. Which I'm actually going to close out of the check. And then from the transaction report, I can click back to report summary, which will take us back to the trial balance. So step 28. Now they want us to practice doing another payroll for another period. So step 29, we're going to click the gear icon and click the recurring transactions. We're going to go back to our recurring transactions page. And you can see we have all of our employees in there and the payments that we saved as recurring transactions. And so now we're going to use the May West one. Click Use. That's step 30. Step 31 says add 14 days to the payment date. So right now it's on 9/8. I'll just go 2 weeks down here to 9/22. That was step 31. Now on step 32, it gives us all the information for the new pay. So we'll see that May worked 3 hours more than she did last month. So her pay is going to be different. So step 33, we're just going to take the new information off of this new table. And so for step 33, we'll go to the amount for our initial payroll entry on line 1 and do 1134. On line 2, we'll do negative 242.11. Line 3, 86.75. And line 4, negative 86.75. So anytime an employee's hours change, we're going to have to go in here and change it on the next paycheck. This is why, like I'm saying, if you have more than a few employees, it starts to be worth it to get QuickBooks Payroll, because the way payroll's set up is you set in their hourly wage and all their withholdings, and then all you have to do is enter their hours each month, and it will do all the rest of the work for you. Anyway, so there we've done it. That's step 36, and on step 37, we'll hit save and close. And that will actually take us back to our recurring transactions page, because that's what we had up. And now step 38 is we're going to use the same process for John and Emily to record their paychecks on the 20, whatever it was, 22nd, 23rd, whatever it was of the month. So we'll go ahead and we'll first do Emily. If we look at this, we'll see Emily's nothing changed because she's salaried. So all I have to do for Emily is click use, make sure the date's correct. It's just the same as it was for May, so I don't even have to update it, and then just hit save and close. So, and it tells us the check number already exists. In real life, we would either be telling it to print the check later, or we would be updating it manually to whatever new check number we're dealing with here. And then for John Johnson, we're going to click use. We can see that John actually got a pay raise of $2 an hour. Now he's making $20 an hour. So we'll have to come in and adjust his base payroll 1,500 for his gross pay, and his withholding, which is going to be negative 320.25. I'm just getting this out of figure 710, the table there. For our payroll tax, so our employer payroll tax expense, it's going to be $114.75. And then the payroll tax payable, negative $114.75. So for John's, I don't know what it says in the instructions here. Yeah, so for John's, in real life, we would probably re-memorize this as a recurring transaction, since his pay raise will be something that will still be in there, next month. So we will expect it to be at this higher rate. Anyway, we've entered his paycheck, and we're going to hit save and close. So that was step 38. We'll hit yes. All right, so 39 wants us to go back to reports. So again, business overview and reports. Step 40, trial balance. So we're just going to find the trial balance. There's our trial balance. Step 41 tells us to scroll to the top of the trial balance and to change the from date to the beginning of the month and the end of the month. So the from and to dates for the month we just did these transactions. So since I'm doing it right now in September 2022, I'll have it start September 1st, 2022, and have it go till September 30th, 2022. Once we do that, we'll click Run Report, and there we'll see our trial balance. Step 42, we're going to click on the dollar amount, $67.85.12, and that will take us in the checking account. Okay, and that will take us to the checking account report. So it'll show all the checks we wrote. at 43, it just says match this, but it will be different in our case because we did both the 9.8 and the 9.22 entry. The one that's showing in the book only has the first transaction. If we wanted to, we could click on any one of these transactions and it would take us to the actual paycheck and we could see it. All right, step 45 says to fix any errors you discover. I didn't see any errors here, so we're good. And that brings us to the end of the Chapter 7 walkthrough. So I know I say it every time, but really, if you get stuck or need help, let me know, and I'll do my best to help. I can't always, respond immediately, but I'll try to at least within a day, and hopefully quicker than that. So I hope this is helpful to you as you move forward and you do the case for this chapter. And I hope you have a great week.